During World War I, few military commanders became as controversial as Douglas Haig, the British field marshal who directed some of the largest offensives on the Western Front and whose name would later become permanently associated with the enormous human cost of trench warfare. By late 1915, Haig had assumed command of the British Expeditionary Force in France at a moment when the war had become deadlocked across hundreds of miles of trenches stretching from the North Sea to Switzerland. Like many senior commanders of the era, Haig believed that continuous offensive pressure remained the only way to break German defenses, despite the devastating power of modern machine guns and artillery that had already transformed the battlefield into a zone of industrialized slaughter. In 1916, Haig became the principal architect of the Battle of the Somme, an offensive originally designed to relieve pressure on French forces at Verdun, while simultaneously weakening the German army through attrition. The plan relied heavily on a massive preliminary bombardment in which British artillery fired more than 1 million shells against German trenches and fortifications over several days. British commanders believed the bombardment would destroy enemy wire defenses, collapse underground bunkers, and leave German survivors too disorganized to resist the infantry assault that would follow. But when British soldiers advanced on 1 July 1916, they discovered that many German defenses had survived almost intact. Deep concrete bunkers protected German troops from the shelling, while machine gun positions overlooking no man's land remained operational. As thousands of British soldiers crossed open ground, entire units were cut down within minutes by concentrated machine gun fire and artillery. The consequences were catastrophic. On the first day alone, the British Army suffered approximately 57,000 casualties, including more than 19,000 dead, making it the bloodiest day in British military history. Yet despite the losses, Haig continued the offensive for months, convinced that constant pressure would gradually exhaust Germany's ability to continue the war even if territorial gains remained limited. By the time the battle ended in November 1916, more than 1 million soldiers from both sides had been killed, wounded, or gone missing. Critics later accused Douglas Haig of relying on outdated tactics and sacrificing enormous numbers of soldiers for only minimal territorial advances, earning him the infamous nickname, the Butcher of the Somme. However, Haig's defenders argue that he was operating within the brutal realities of early 20th century industrial warfare, where no army yet possessed effective methods for breaking entrenched defenses without massive casualties. Some historians also point out that the Somme inflicted severe damage on the German army and contributed to the long-term exhaustion that ultimately weakened Germany by 1918. The debate surrounding Douglas Haig therefore remains one of the most enduring controversies of modern military history. To some, he symbolizes the incompetence and human cost of trench warfare. To others, he represents a commander forced to fight an unprecedented type of war whose grim strategies helped secure eventual Allied victory.